So yeah, this is our day 3 project. This was the side-scrolling game that we had created that had multiple spawn points. We altered a number of different properties with the different enemies. We included additional shooting capabilities where you could fire projectiles at your enemies, and if the collision happened, then it would destroy the enemy. Yeah, let's go ahead and export this. Let's see here. Maybe actually this particular project was kind of large. Not sure if it makes sense to export everything. I was, gonna put everything into the same project, but I forgot actually how large some of these projects are by default. Let's look at our day 5. So that was our side scroller game. Our day 5 project.
Yeah, I can't seem to find it in the hub.
Okay, so maybe it does make sense for me to add all these into a single project. This was our first attempt to implement 3D objects. We went over the rigid body slash physics system. We went over lighting. We went over prefabs. We went over mesh renders. Yeah, this is a relatively small scene. Let's go ahead and export this and bring it into our there weren't too many files. We didn't really grab anything from the asset store for that particular day. Let's go over here to our all day. Can go ahead and import packages. This is how you import Unity packages. We've done this many times before. Looks like we were using the default name for our scene. So let's go ahead and rename our scene here to day 5 so that if we import anything else, it will not override that default scene. Let's go ahead and do best practices, starting to put all of our scripts into a proper scripts folder. And at the same time, we want to put all of our prefabs into, remember the special folder name?
The folder name was prefabs, I believe, right?
Resources.
The resources.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we can close that one down.
I seem to be having trouble finding the correct project.
Okay, all the more reason for me to kind of put these different projects and days together. I think I skipped day 6, but
yeah, I don't think I labeled them. I didn't label them the same way, so it's kind of hard to tell which.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, this is kind of more for the other people that haven't been able to attend at the same time. Ooh, this is not looking good. I'm not sure how this got saved, but we're even missing a prefab. I don't know if we're going to be able to salvage this particular, it looks like we didn't have very much anyhow. The sample scene just had an extra material, and then it was the warrior bundle. I think I looked at this to kind of show you guys how the animator worked, but then we ended up finding a better package. Yeah, day 7 seems like we must have used a different project. I think we went back and we used day 6 a second time. So let's go ahead and import our day 6. I think we even used day 6 in our day 9. This is really the one level that was useful because we found a good Unity package that had environment, variables, or not variables, prefabs for all of our buildings and streets and things, and then we found another package for our avatars and things. So let's go ahead and take this scene. It's called demo scene. Because yeah, I think the sample scene, this was something else. This was another example scene that we had done. This was more of our day 5 example.
Yeah, so the only one I currently have named as a day is day 7.
Okay. That's not a big deal. I don't know, this was day... Did I try day 6? Our day... Oh yeah, day 7 was more of our... we got that. I'm going to go ahead and try exporting this anyhow. Before we do, I want to rename it so it doesn't override anything. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, so I did end up finding the platformer.
Okay, and a lot of the yeah, if you want to continue to try and consolidate as well, but I'm going to post all of this to Slack. This is yeah, more or less for everybody who wasn't able to attend every class. And at the same time, yeah, I can kind of just voice over what we ended up doing on that particular day. Hopefully this doesn't take too long to import. Yep, looks like it's not having any conflicts or anything, which is good. We can go ahead and import our day 3. I think day 4 was more of a building on what we did during day 3. I might go back and even recreate some scenes. Oh, looks like it's complaining about the cinema machine. That's going to be in the package manager, making sure that we've got that cinema machine installed here. It's one of the built-in Unity packages that Unity's really been pushing as of late. And this particular project, it uses it for handling all of the camera movement, which is pretty, useful. I guess it does some dampering and slewing rather than just tracking your character exactly. It adds a little bit of buffering, similar to the way you scroll on a mobile device, where if you're scrolling too quickly, it kind of rubber bands back. That's the way that camera works. Let's see here. What other days. We've got day 5 imported. Let's go ahead and this is more like day 6. And then I wanted to find our other scene. I think our scene was down here in the simple. Yeah, let's go ahead and put it in a better place. Day 5. No, day 7. Although we had another day 7 project I want to see. I forgot what we covered in our day 7. Pretty sure this was the one with just the single. Yeah, we didn't really use anything from this.
That's
it
odd.
was the
There
day
isn't really
8.
much.
Yeah, day 8 was the one where we implemented the pathfinding nav mesh and nav mesh agent classes. So we definitely want to get those into the final project. And I think there might be overlap in some of the script files as well. So we'll deal with those conflicts when we do the import. Let's go ahead and export all of this. This is more of a day 6. Come over to our all-day project. We'll go ahead and import our day 6. Just decompressing, looking at all of the assets. It looks like there's a few. These are just folders. That's fine. It's more like if we had any warnings about individual assets, but looks like yeah, there wasn't any overlap. I think we might get a tiny bit when we do day 8 here. The day 8 had multiple multiple nav mesh agents. Day 8 here. Looks like that was imported. And that was exported. And now our last import here. Day 8. We'll see. We'll definitely get some yep. So it actually detected the duplicates, and as you see here, it's actually not going to try and re-import them because they are exactly the same files. If you wanted to override, you could, but it's actually no, you can't. It's telling us, hey, these are exactly the same files, and so we'll just import.
So do you mind posting these packages on the Slack?
Yeah, I'm going to post the all days package on the Slack. We imported this, and it looks like we might have a duplicate because there are now 2 classes in here that have the exact same name. And so the best way to handle this is by adding namespace. So if you have two classes that are exactly the same name, you can go back in and add a proper namespace. Looks like, yeah, inside of our scripts folder, yeah, it's making reference to player controller. And if we do a search in our project here, we most certainly have two player controllers, which is not good. This is the platformer. Looks like it already has a namespace. So if we wanted to do player controller here and reference this one, we could do platformer.mechanics, and now it knows which player controller to reference. Likewise, here, now it's not so confused. It knows which player controller class to reference in the project. Let's go back over to our console and see what other issues there might be. Again, yeah, we want to include this additional fully qualified, fully explicit information so that it knows which one to which one it's referring to. Yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of adding in the extra code that you need. Sometimes, yeah, you don't have to think so hard about it. That's why I'm kind of going fast. Looks like
yeah, hang on, I'm still.
Player again wants to be fully qualified here. Otherwise, would be kind of confused. Visual Studio is smart enough, it grays out some of the extra context that it doesn't necessarily need. Let's go ahead and paste this in again. And again. Down to 9 errors. Let's see here. And that should take us down another one. Just kind of making sure that our namespaces are matching up as to not, yeah, get our player controllers confused. Enemy controller. Ooh, now we're almost done.
I'm still having trouble importing the packages, or rather, it's just kind of acting slow for me.
Yeah, is it going slow, or what's the error messages showing up in the console?
Well, it's not much of an error message, and more just like my computer being slow combined with fact that the way I named my projects makes it difficult to find which one is which in the hub. Yeah, do you mind just posting the packages on the Slack?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got everything working now. Hopefully that's our last compiler error. Now we get to go back through and make sure that we don't have runtime errors, which is a whole nother bag of worms here. Let's go ahead and get these out of the root level folders and put them into appropriate folders. Scripts go there. Unity scenes go in scene. Got some more miscellaneous scripts that don't want to be here. They want to be in scripts. Here's our player controller here. Can put that in scripts.
Wait, so which packages were you using?
I think I've got all of them into our one project now. So if I go ahead and do a save project, yeah, I've got all of our different days in here. I'm just kind of sorting
Okay.
sorting the project now, putting audio files into the audio folder. This is a prefab. We'll throw it in resources. This is a I'm drawing a blank. It's mesh and collide physics material. This is when we were adjusting the bounce of our different walls in day 6. Here are the NAF mesh components. I think this is just a zip file. Yeah, we don't need this. Can get rid of the metadata file too if you're deleting things from the file system. Make sure you get rid of the metadata file, otherwise it will pop up in oops, did I do that right? It will pop up in your versioning control. It'll still find the metadata file. Let's get rid of that there. And then let's just put this actually in environment because it was part of. So yeah, now if we go through, we've got a nice organized audio folder. Here's our character folder with the different animations that we had in here. Yeah, editor, if you recall, this adds things to your actual Unity editor environment. Looks like it just had sprites and things. These were specific to the pathfinding example. So they're all kind of the same. Let's create a new folder just so there's not so many of them sitting in the root folder. And we'll call it AI example. And then we can move AI examples rather. F2 is the hotkey for renaming. We'll move these here. It's kind of cleaning this up. Oops. This one as well. Mod assets. What was in here? These were part of the side scroller game. Yeah, looks like they're scripts, and then it had a few sprites, but not really so many. Let's go ahead and create a sprites folder. And we can throw some of our miscellaneous sprites into there. And then these scripts can go into our scripts folder. It's a better place for them there. And now we can get rid of this mod assets folder that shouldn't be there. Models, those are actually not even models. Those are just materials. I kind of warned against throwing all of your materials into a single folder, but for this particular situation, we only have two, and they're very descriptive, right? Even they have what they are. They're just opaque colors that we use to teach you guys how to put materials onto mesh renders. These are additional script files. Let's go ahead and put these editor ones into the editor folder here. And then we can put the nav mesh scripts, we'll call them nav mesh. And we will put them into our scripts folder. We could even put this editor into the scripts folder, but we'll just leave it at the top so people know, this is a good place to put your editor code. We've got materials, we've got our prefabs there, we've got additional prefabs there. Remember, resources are the ones that you can call at runtime, but then they're also automatically included whenever you do a build of the game. These can go into the AI example. And then sample scenes. This just looks like lighting information for the day 5 scene. I think we should be able to just remove this and it shouldn't give us too much trouble. That was just additional lighting properties associated with the scene. I think we might have done some kind of light baking that day as an example of how to bake lights into your scene. Yeah, and then these are relatively sorted. All of our scripts are now in the scripts folder, which is a good place for them to be. We could subsort some of these extra. Yeah, it looks like test doesn't really have. We can see a quick view of the script file in the inspector. It doesn't look like anything is in test, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. Unparent child. Yeah, that's how you unparented the child. Show time. Shooting. A lot of these were just small script files that we used throughout our different projects. So scripts, simple city. This is more of a plugin. What I like to do is create my own plugins folder, and that's the way I know all the different packages and plugins that I have, and they don't clutter up the root. TextMesh Pro is another Unity package. Looks like there's not much there. But we're going to move it to plugins anyhow. So tiles. These look like sprites. So I'm going to move these over here into our sprites folder. Now we can get rid of tiles. And then the Toony Tiny People was another plugin package that we got for free from the Unity Asset Store. There. Now we've got a more concise, easier to navigate project where AI examples actually probably wants to go into plugins as well. And now we should be all set. If we're looking for something, you can either use the toolbar, or if you don't remember exactly what you name something, then you have a general idea of which folder it might be in. Let's go back and go through and make sure that our different days are compiling and running and that we don't have any weird runtime errors. It does look like we had a few. It's complaining about the input settings. If you recall, those are in preferences or project settings, and then you have your input management manager here. This is where you can configure controls and things. It looks like the editor is complaining about input button menu not being set up. You can click here and it'll tell us, oh, line 66, get button down menu. So if this must have been something that was included in the package when we got it from the Unity Asset Store. If we wanted to fix this, we would have to go over to our input. Oops, wrong one. It's one above it. Project settings, input manager, and add menu in here. So we increment this to 19, and it's going to be called menu, and I think we should be able to just save and be able to run it now, and it won't complain about it not being able to find it. So yeah, that got rid of our runtime error here. We still have jump. I think enter was our way of firing and asteroids at our slimes. Uh-oh. There we go. So yeah, it looks like this is working appropriately. I can still... Oh, he got me. I didn't get far enough to hit the second respawn point. I think the second respawn point was right after that slime. So now if we end up in this pit, we shouldn't have to go back to the beginning again. We can just respawn there. Whoop. That slime let us off the hook there. Yeah, so it looks like this scene is running just fine now. Let's go to our day 5 scene. This is where we were generating lots of different cubes and things, and I think you could jump, or there was even a key, I think it was P for parent, maybe I don't remember exactly what key it was. If you wanted to, we could go into our script files and see which key is causing the unparenting function. It was U for unparent and C for color. So if we come back into our game, I think C is for color. C was also generate blocks, and so yeah, it was a fun little feature. And then we implemented a function to garbage collect as well, so that all of these cubes eventually destroy themselves, so that we don't run out of system memory. So that was that day. No runtime errors either. Let's continue on to day 6. Day 6 is when we implemented fog. We introduced and did some things with the canvas so that if you push the buttons, yeah, it manipulates how your person moves. Yeah, we've got on-screen timer. That was that scene. Looks like it doesn't have any runtime errors. This was our big one where we have the most functionality, where you can click on different game objects and make them disappear. If you right-clicked, we had a pathfinding algorithm on there. Yeah, we did a whole lot with that scene. Let's see, what is this example? This was more of our day 8 example that uses the pathfinding stuff, although it looks like example with GUI was better just because it has more functionality on there. We had the generate new players button so that we could create instantiate new players to test our pathfinding algorithm. Yep, where the ball didn't get there yet, so it didn't trigger the. We also had this functionality. Ooh, it looks like it wasn't on the prefab that got instantiated, but there's a scroll bar. This is another example that we did where the GUI is manipulating the things in the 3D scene. And then, yeah, what the example that we had in day 7 was going the other way around, where whatever you hovered over in the scene displayed the game object's name down here in the corner inside of the GUI. So if you hover over our TT demo female there, or the male avatar there, or the zombies there, then you get that information out of the GUI. And then these were just examples that came with the pathfinding example. So these probably belong not in our scenes, but in the plugins inside of AI examples. We could create a scenes. Here is probably where these should go, because we didn't really create them. They were just example scenes. Yeah. So let's go ahead and practice with the scene manager. Let's add a button to our canvas so that if we click on it, it goes to day 5, and then in day 5 we'll have a button that you can click on that goes to day 6, day 7, and then day 8. Yeah, let's create a new script called switch scene inside of our scripts folder. Switch scene. Go ahead and open that up here. If you double on it, it will launch inside of Visual Studio. let's go ahead and have it so that people can define which scene they want to switch to inside of the inspector. So we'll create a public property called switch scene name, and that will be of type string. Oops. And then whenever you hit that button, it's going to be a public class called switch scene click. And the only thing that really needs to do is use our scene manager, which is a Unity package. And this is where you can get the name of the active scene. Otherwise, there is a set active scene here where we, or no, I'm sorry, load scene. And this will load the scene either by index, and the index is defined in your build settings. So basically, we want to load whatever scene name gets passed in here. We should be able to, yeah, close that down. We're finished with that script now. We just have to add it to a game object somewhere in the scene, somewhere in the hierarchy. I would probably add it to the button itself. That way it's just more intuitive if you add components to the game objects that are actually utilizing that said script. So we want to find our canvas here. Here's our text down here, this new text. If we want to add a new button, we right click and then we go ahead and we add a new button. Puts it in the middle of the screen. It makes it kind of big. Let's put it up. Let's make it a little smaller, and then we can move it up here in the corner. And then, yeah, I don't remember how to add the event itself. Let's go ahead and add the switch scene component, and then we can click here, and then it's expecting a script here. We drop ourselves, and now it will list all of the functions and components that are on that particular game object. There's our switch scene component, and we want to do switch scene.click as our function to run. So now all we have to do is put the name of the scene that we want to switch into. So in this case, we want to go to day 5. Let's run it. I'm not sure if it will be able to switch to day 5. One of the problems is that, yeah, day 5 is not in our build settings. So all of our scenes need to go into build settings here. Build settings are in File. These are all the different scenes that get built whenever you publish your game. We need to go back through and add all of our different scenes so that Unity knows to create them whenever we build the game, and also so that we can use the switch scene functionality that we just added. So yeah, we're going back and adding all of these. Let's go back to scene 3 now. Now that day 5 has been added, our button should should work. Let's see here. My canvas got a little bit messed up here. I think that might have to do with the cinema machine, but yeah, it moved my text and it moved my button. All right, now when we hit play, we hit the button, it loads the next scene, just like that. Let's go ahead and put in better text other than button. We'll put in text that says load next day. And it seems like we have to make our button a little bit bigger for the text in order to fit in there. Make that a little larger, scoot it over a little bit the X direction. And now, rather than going from scene to scene and adding a button and adding all that stuff that we did, let's go ahead and call this next scene button and make a prefab out of it. This is going to make our lives go a lot faster. So now when we come over to day 5, all we have to do is take this next scene button and drop it into our scene. It looks like it did not automatically add a canvas, unfortunately. So if we want, we first have to add a canvas. And now we should be able to drop in our next scene button here like this. There we go. Save the scene. If we hit play, the problem is when we hit next day, load next day, it still has day 5 in our inspector inside of our property here. Here. And so if we wanted it to instead load day 6, we have to turn it off. Make sure you turn it off because any changes you make in the hierarchy during runtime when you're playing the game are erased. So let's go back in and hit day 6 here. And now when we hit play and we hit that button, it's going to load our next one. So now let's go to day 6. Looks like we already have a canvas here. So all we have to do is take our next scene button, drop it in like so, come down here, change day 5 to day 7. And as long as day 7 is in our build settings, looks like it's not. Yeah, if we try doing it now, it would give us a runtime error and say, nope, you are missing day 7. It is not in your build settings. So let's go ahead and go to day 7. Make sure that this gets added to our build scene or our build settings. At the same time, we can go ahead and add our next scene button to the canvas and set it up so that this button will go on to day 8. And then last but not least is this scene, which let's go ahead and add to our build settings so that we've got it here. And then yeah, add the button as well. We'll have it loop background, I guess, so that it will go back to day 3 when we hit this particular button. Same time, let's fix our canvas a little. It looks like our generate player button got a little warped here. as well as our scroll bar that adjusts the height of our avatar, our capsule avatar here. All right, so now if we hit play, we do load next day here. Let's do, we do full screen. Where's full screen at? Maximize. Notice that when we maximized, it did not automatically adjust our buttons. It looks like our buttons are not anchored correctly in the scenes. Our load button itself works, but it seems as though, our GUI components are not anchored correctly. That's why they were looking funny too when I went from scene to scene, is because the buttons themselves are not anchored correctly. Here's where you set anchors. If you want to anchor it to the middle of the screen, which is usually not what you want to do. Usually anchors, you end up anchoring them to a corner of the screen. So we want this scroll bar actually not to be anchored to the center middle, but kind of down in the corner here. And so now if we were to hit play here, and then play. It works. And then if we were to do maximize, this is still anchored down in the corner here. So we just need to select our generate player button here. This wants to be anchored to the upper right. And let's, rather than going through each and individual scene, we were smart and we used a prefab for all of those buttons. So what we can do is you can either open up the prefab here in the project. Otherwise, and we haven't done this yet, let's set it upper top left. It's called override. So what happens is it shows you all of the different things that have changed in regards to that particular game object, and those changes will be applied throughout your project. Although it does not look like it is detecting change to the transform. Sometimes the transforms properties, if it's position, it's the one property that does not get updated. It also looks like if we did that override, it would change all of our switch scene name properties to day 3, which we don't want. So we're better off actually opening the prefab this way to make the change. And this way, when we come over here and we do top left here, and we save, it will be applied to all of the other scenes now. So this load next day button, if we come down and find it in the canvas here, it does not look like it updated it. Yeah, transforms don't update on the prefab, so I guess we just still have to manually come in here and re-anchor our next day button to the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Let's go ahead and actually make sure that it's working before we apply it to 4 other places, but pretty confident that, yeah, it's anchored up here in the corner. And yeah, let's go on, fix our day 6 here. Our text wants to be anchored in the lower right. Our buttons here want to be anchored in the lower right. And our next button in the upper left. If we hit play, yep, our anchors are working. Which, yeah, we didn't go over anchors before. Most people have a pretty good idea of what an anchor is anyhow. But yeah, last one here. This wants to be lower right, and you in the upper left. All right, so now we've got all of our scenes and everything pretty well coordinated and able to post on the Slack. I might actually go ahead and do an export now. Looks like that's everything. And we'll do an export and call it all days with switch scene button. And the only thing that people will have to know how to do is add that menu input to their input preferences for the project. If you want these project settings, they're actually stored inside of project settings. Input manager right here. I'm not sure they yeah, they're actually relatively readable. That's all metadata information. Another easy one to read is the project settings. Here you can quickly see the name of all your scenes. Here. I don't know, project settings, this, you've got the versioning number here, you've got time manager, yeah, all of your quality settings. Where were the scene names? Find day 3. They're not in project settings. They must be in editor settings? No, not there either. Huh, strange. I thought for sure. Build settings, editor build settings. Here they are. Here's our scenes right here. Yeah, not project settings, but editor build settings. It's where yeah, that information. Yeah, all of our Unity settings and everything get stored in these asset files, and most of them they can kind of read. I guess they used to have a couple of these. They were binary, but it looks like everything is pretty much readable now, which is good. It's a lot easier to read, and for the versioning control, if you ever need to go back and yeah, see where something went astray. Project settings are one of the folders, yeah, that you actually want to check into your versioning control, because as I've stated several times before, you do not include your library in your versioning control. You don't include OBJ. You You don't include temp. You don't include, well, you can include packages, but this is just a JSON manifest file that tells Unity what versions of and which dependencies you have. So yeah, the only folders that you really need are the assets, which is where everything is, your project settings if you want to keep project settings, and packages if you want to continue to use the Unity packages. Those the packages themselves don't get stored in your versioning control, but a reference to those packages is. Logs, you don't have to check in logs unless you want to. They don't update very often, it doesn't seem. Well, I guess maybe it's constantly redoing it, but all of this information looks like it is already being stored in the JSON manifest file inside of your packages folder. And then these project files are automatically generated by Visual Studio, so you don't need to check those in either. Yep, just project settings and assets. So, yeah. What do we want to do here? Let's go back to our Slack. We can post our. I'll post the Unity package on there. It was. Let's see here, how big was it? 33 megs. Not too big, considering it's got all of the work that we've done over the course. But I wanted to go up and make sure that we've got everything covered here. You know, we've gone through gizmos and we've gone through navigation, you know, using the magic Alt key to be able to navigate around our scene is important. You know, double clicking on something to go right to it, and then yeah, orbiting and zooming out and looking. Look is just the right mouse button. Yeah, we had added a camera manipulator last class. So in this scene, when we use the WASD oh, I thought we had added camera controller. Maybe the scene didn't get saved, but I thought for sure we had added some kind of camera controller script here. Move camera, here. Do you remember our trick for finding if it's in the scene? All you got to do is right click and then do find reference in scene. It does not look like we had that in there anywhere. So let's go ahead and drop our move camera script onto, say, our main camera, probably as good a place as any. And now when we do play and we use our WASD keys, this and U and J, this is how we do our camera manipulation here. Zombies. All right. Control P was on off hotkey. Yeah. What else here? We've got all of our different projects brought over now. We did a first person game, third person game. We did a 2D game. Trying to think what other types of games are out there. Yeah, that's about all you can do with your camera unless you've got a VR headset. And then you need the Unity plugin for that. What happens is there's code that tracks the head, the motion of the head, and uses the different axes. You don't even really have to write any of the code. It's all kind of inside of the plugin for you to use. Let's see here. What else? Let's build a game. Actually, we haven't deployed anything before. Now that we've built everything, let's build something. So if we go to build settings, the first scene that pops up is going to be whatever is at the top of your hierarchy. So if you wanted, day 7 to load first, you'd simply drag this up to the top like that. Let's do a build. Let's put it on the desktop and say, it's asking for a folder. Let's call it IN3 class game. Now we select that folder. It's going to look at all of our assets and look at all of our scenes. It's going to not use the assets that we don't use. It's kind of nice. Unity optimizes like that, but remember, anything that's in resources is going to get included because, yeah, it doesn't know if it's going to end up using those resources at runtime, and so it just automatically includes everything in the resources folder. Looks like it can compile. We did get one error message in our console, which I'm not super happy about. Something to do with TextMesh Pro mobile. Well, we didn't even do a mobile build. If you wanted to do a mobile build, you'd just come over here and you'd switch it to one of these other platforms. I don't have the platforms installed right now, so I'm not able to switch it. But yeah, basically you just go back into Unity Hub and open up, download and utilize those different. All right, let's go to our desktop here and play our executable. Yeah, this is it. Want to go to our next scene. Yeah, this is. This is our different scenes. Oh my goodness, that's loud. I had my editor muted, but yeah. Seems as though everything is working. We don't have an exit button, do we? There's no way out of our game other than if we hit Windows, then we can close it down this way. Yeah, so the building actually worked. We talked about the package manager. We've gone over scenes and textures, materials, scripts, prefab, sounds, scriptable objects, our material, text, physics material, that was a scriptable object. We covered UI canvas and event triggers. Yeah, even in this class, we added our next load next level button. Yeah, hopefully you guys are familiar with all of the most important Unity components. We went over parenting and children. We went over tags and layers. We went over editor code, instantiating and deleting things. We went over, yeah, some of the more advanced things. I guess we didn't really cover time. Time is a pretty easy thing to set. All you do is come over and let's do it. Let's go to our day. I'm looking for the one where it was spewing out. Yeah, this one. Our C button was really releasing lots and lots of cubes at the same time. If we wanted this to go a little bit slower, we could add a script called slow down time. We'll add it to our main camera. We'll call it slow down time. Wouldn't that be a magical ability? Oh, I don't like where it put it in the hierarchy. By default, it puts it in the root. Let's go ahead and move it into our scripts folder. And then back over here, closed it down, open it back up again. And now if we're pushing T, so input dot get key. Let's just do get key down. No, we only want it to fire a single time. We're pushing T. Then what we want to do is do time dot. And here's all the different things you can do with time. But what you can do is do time dot time. And time dot time by default is equal to 1. But let's just do minus 0.1f. So ooh, they changed it to read only. 1 second. Used to be easier to change. Maybe it's time.scale. Time scale, that's what it is. This is my default one. And yeah, if you have any questions about this stuff, it's all in the Unity documentation online here. So yeah, I should have known. Time is just the time at the beginning of the frame. Time scale is the scale at which time passes. Can be used for slow motion effect. So let's go ahead and come back into our scene here and hit play. And yeah, if we hold down C and it starts shooting this out, but then we push T, you'll notice that it's starting to go much, much slower. See, everything's kind of slow effect, which is pretty cool. And then if I wanted to add another function so that it sets our time scale back to 1, let's do if we push R, then time scale returns back to 1 again. I'm not sure what happens if your time scale goes less than 0. I think it might throw some errors. So let's get a bunch of cubes going. 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, everything's going slow. Let's get a couple more cubes here. And then I'll slow it down a little bit more. Cubes. And then R is reset back to normal speed. So yeah, you can do some cool slow motion effects with that. It looks like, yeah, even though our time does go slow, the generate cube button is doing it every frame. Every frame that you've got the C button down, it is generating a new cube. And yeah, our frame rate is not affected by the time. It's only the speed of the game. So let's push time a bunch of times. I wonder what happens. Yep, time is out of range. We are now at time 0, which it doesn't like. I think set us back to 0.1, but then we can also do R, and it goes back to normal time. All right, cool. Covered our time property. Force we covered, that's related to rigid bodies. We know how to add properties into the inspector. We went over script execution order many times. Vectors we went over when we instantiate our prefabs. Quaternions are just the rotation of the prefabs. Lerps and slurps we didn't really cover that much. It's used for manipulating a transform over time usually. So say we want to move our cube in a square or move it forward by a certain amount, we could use a lerp for that. Let's go ahead and create a new script called lerp example. And we can take that lerp example and let's throw it on to our cylinder here. Come back over into the inspector. Here's our lerp example. Basically, if we want it to move forward, let's go to the documentation. I don't entirely remember all of the properties of the lerp. Yeah, you can lerp colors, but usually you're either lerping the rotation, so you rotate it not immediately, because if you just set the rotation, you know, it'll set it in one frame, but if you want it to kind of slew, this is where you use a lerp. So lerp stands for linear interpolation, and then there's also a slurp, which is a spherical interpolation. Ooh, looks like there's some lerping that has to do with the particle system as well. I've actually never used that before. Anyhow, the one that we want to use is our vector 3 lerp, where we can change our transform's position over time. Yeah, where usually the first parameter is the starting position. The second parameter is your ending position, and then this is the amount of time that it's going to take to go from this position to this position. So our lerp example is actually on the cylinder itself, and so Yeah, we should be able to go transform dot position is equal to vector 3 dot lerp from our yeah, you do need to create like a starting position. Otherwise, if you're reconfiguring your starting position every time, it just doesn't work. So inside of our start, let's create a placeholder. Can even be private because we don't need to set it in the inspector. We'll call it starting position. And we set starting position equal to that position. And then in update, we can go from our starting position to our ending position. Let's get another, do another private vector 3 where our end position is going to be in a few units in front of our starting position. So ending position is going to be our starting position plus vector 3 dot forward. See 3 units. Not sure how that's going to look. How big are really depends on how big our scene is. Everything's kind of relative. So we're going from our starting position to our ending position in, let's say, 2 seconds. Now, when we hit play here, we should see our it didn't do it very smoothly. I mean, it definitely seems as though it's doing it immediately, though. They end up having additional fractions in here. I thought it was just t was supposed to be the time. The parameter t is clamped between 0 and 1. This is mostly used to find a point. That's what it is. It's not the amount of time that it takes. It's more the percentage of, the fraction of the journey. It's the distance from here to here, which percentage of it is. So if you end up passing in 0.5, it'll be halfway between these 2 points. It's a little tricky. If you wanted to actually get the journey length, you would have to use an additional property as they have set up here. Let's go ahead and do that. Come back into our lerp example where this is going to be position along position from, or like fraction of the position. Or how about progress? We'll just call it progress. And then progress is a float. So let's go ahead and do float progress. And then progress, we have, normally you'd have to think of this on your own, but we're just going to use our cheat sheet here. And yeah, this calculates the distance between the two, and then the distance covered over the journey is just time minus start time, and time speed. It looks like they set speed equal to 1 here. Yeah, it's treated more or less like a scalar, like just a coefficient. So yeah, fraction distance of journey. So it's distance covered divided by the total distance. So I think we do need this, something similar to this in our own function. This could be calculated even. You could put it in update, that then it's doing the calculation every frame. Probably more computationally effective to put it here in our start function. And the distance is going to give us a floating point value. So let's go ahead and put distance between points here. Distance between points here is our starting position, and our ending position. It's the distance between the 2 points. Last part of our function or equation is the total, the distance that you've covered so far, which is the amount of time that you've actually been doing it. Yeah, and this wants to update every frame, where we can just do time.time. So we'll do time.time, no, or delta time. Sometimes you can just put delta time over here. And this will actually, I think, work as well, although it might work faster. Let's have it move. Our forward was kind of away because our cylinder is facing forward. So let's go ahead and reverse the direction on this. Instead of going forward, let's go backwards so that we're coming closer to our camera. Let's go a little bit further too. Let's go a distance of 6. I'm not sure if this will immediately do it. It might do it kind of fast. Yeah, it does it too fast. We could use a dampering function. Let's see if we can get it to go a little bit slower just by doing this. This might still be too fast. I have a pretty quick computer, and so even at 10 times, what is our, I also want to check our scale. Part of the problem might be is that our functions are too big. Our physics is just going crazy there. If we want to prohibit that, let's go ahead and take our cubes off here. That might make things a little less crazy. Still doing it so fast. Yeah, let's use their formula here. Distance covered. We don't need speed. And then we just need distance covered. All right, we should be good to go now. There we go. Now you can actually see it in action when you hit play. Yeah, that's how that works. And that's the lerp. Let's see here. What else do we want to go over? We covered inputs really a lot. We even did raycasting and debugging quite a bit. Debug codes are good for console. There's one kind of useful debug command that I guess I didn't really cover, and it ties in actually with the raycasting. Is if you want to use a draw line command, debug command, where if you want to draw lines in your scene, not necessarily have them show up in the game, but show up in the scene. Yeah, you can put it in any script. I'm just going to put it in our lerp example where we do debug dot draw line, and this will draw a line. It's got some overloaded functions in here from a start point to an end point, and then color is also sometimes useful if you're differentiating. You have multiple draw lines in here, so let's just draw a line from our starting position to our ending position, and let's make the color red. And now if I were to hit play over here, it by default goes to the game view, but if I went back to the scene view, here you can actually see that red line that's going from our start position to our end position like that. That's just another useful debug command that you can use if you're wondering, where your ray is pointing or something. Then, or if your camera, instead of having start position here, we could actually have our camera dot main position, and this will draw. Problem was we need the transform. And so this will draw a line from our camera to wherever the cylinder is going to lerp to. Let's go back and run this one more time. Yeah, it only appears in the scene view, but basically it's going from the camera now to wherever the end position was. Or if we wanted to add another line that went from our start position to the camera, or from our camera to the start position, and we want it to be blue. This is how we would do that. And these are all just kind of useful debug tools. You can see that, yeah, this is where the blue line goes to the start point, and red one there. You can see our canvas. The white lines here, that represents our canvas. Turned our canvas off, it would disappear like that. Yeah, that's the lerping system. Yeah, we covered a lot of ground in the last 5 weeks. I mean, we did have how much was it? 5. There's 10 classes, so a total of 20 20 hours worth of material. Yeah, Unity's got a pretty steep learning curve, but yeah, in 20 hours you can cover pretty much all the essential components. Let's see here. Is there any other crazy things I'm missing? You know, we went over the prefab system. We went over yeah, updating prefabs and things, and how that actually, yeah, if you're updating the transform, that doesn't update. And the reason for that is because yeah, a lot of times you have your prefab sitting in different places in your level, and you don't actually want the transform to update. But you know, if you're updating the color of your enemy or something, then that is a change that you want to have applied to all of the enemies as opposed to just the one that you're working on. We didn't really go over videos that much, but it's pretty easy. It's just a component. You can drop a video component in there. As long as you have some kind of video clip, you can drop it in there. If I go over here, I know I've got a MP4 here. Let's do this here. Go ahead and drop this into our project here. We'll put it up here with audio, video usually go together. And so if we come back to our video player and set video clip here, you can adjust the playback speed as well. If you hit play now, it actually, you can play on awake. You can wait for the first frame. Looks like it's not showing up on our canvas here. It's not actually seeing where the video itself is playing. Let's make sure that it imported correctly. You can hit play and, oh, that might be a problem if it didn't import correctly. Oh no, it imported. You can yeah, play the video from the editor as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and figure out, you can put in a URL as well of OGG files run, MP4s run, MOV files run. Unity does a pretty good job of being able to import just about anything. Fit horizontally. Let's see here. Let's zoom out. I'm not entirely sure where it's playing this video. Oops. I don't see it. Let's see here. We might have wanted to put it on our canvas. Let's go ahead and do Unity video player, and this will give us the documentation. Movies format supported. Actually, I already talked about all this. Different decoders. Yeah, what this does is this code finds our main camera, which I don't recommend using GameObject.find. That is a very computationally expensive function. We do want it to play on awake. And you can set event triggers to set certain things happen whenever you reach the end of your video. Looks like we might have to actually put the video on a material. Yeah, playing the movie. We have to put this video on a material. That's why we can't see it. We're not rendering it anywhere. And so let's go ahead and put it on maybe our quad here. We could have it play on the ground instead of having this gray material. We can instead have it play on a video, have a video material play. Let's just see here. Got the video player already. And then let's try adding a material here. We'll call it video material. And I don't think it can be standard. Drop it here. No. Where is our video material? Let's go back to the documentation. I didn't look this up beforehand. Rendering mode. Video player versus movie texture. Ooh, it looks like there's usually two ways of doing it. You can either do a movie texture, which requires you to set the main material of the render video texture. Yeah, we have to have this movie texture material here. So let's go ahead and add a new component to our quad here. We'll call it play video material. All I do is have this property here. Complaining because we're missing. They deprecated movie texture. Interesting. What kind of weird documentation did we stumble upon? This is strange. Usually Unity is good with their documentation, but it has guided us down a path. This is deprecated. Notice how it's not underlined, but yeah, movie texture has been removed from Unity. It is no longer there. It's obsolete. Use video player instead. Huh. We may want to, yeah, I might email Unity and tell them that they have deprecated code inside of their user manual, because this is not right. So yeah, movie texture no longer exists. Let's instead focus on the video player. Yeah, let's go ahead and get this video clip property. Does not complain about that. Now if we come back over here, come into our component, it should have this, and we should be able to drop, not that, that's more of a video player, but we should be able to drop this, our video clip, onto there. And what else is our documentation telling us? Should be plain by default. Let's go ahead and see if anything pops up when we do this. No, we're still not seeing our video anywhere. This is kind of disappointing. Let's try putting it on a material here. Downloading a movie example. No, we don't need to download. We rendering mode should be material override. Let's come back here and make sure our video player has material override. Render, here we are. Where are we going to render it? We're going to render it on our quad main texture. There we go. I think we should be rolling now. There we go. You can see it now. It's kind of in a strange position because we're looking down on it, but there is our video right there on top of that material. So yeah, it looks like we do in fact have to have some kind of material. Yeah, you can either put it on a texture or you can put it on a material. Otherwise, we could put it on the camera far clipping plane. That would be another place to put it where and can put our camera on there instead. And now it should actually play in the background. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Yeah. Cool. Anyhow, yeah, Adam, did you have any other questions or things you want to cover here in the last couple minutes of the class?
No, not really.
Okay, yeah. If you want to get a hold of me or if you have Unity questions, yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best place.
Although, yeah, there is one more question I had.
Yep.
In regards to accessing the Google Drive, where the videos are being stored. For some reason, it keeps telling me I don't have access.
Okay. I'll make sure that you get access.
Okay.
Yeah. Aaron's kind of been handling that. I want to make sure, yeah, that I'm not giving out access. You know, hopefully, yeah, you guys get access to the thing it's related to the class and not all of the IN3 documents and stuff. Yeah, I feel bad if if there was a data leak or whatever. But yeah, I'll make sure that I talk to him and that you guys get access to all of the videos so that we can watch them again. They can watch them again whenever you need.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, well, thanks again. I hope you enjoy the class, and
Yeah.
best of luck with Unity and everything.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was very informative.
All right, thanks.
All
All right, have a good
right.
night.
Yeah. You too.